Welcome to the Billy Ho Forecast Show. Please subscribe and like the video. Remember, the more you share, the bigger we grow. Now, let's go! Hello, Billy Ho here. Coming at you. This is just a little medium hitter video on some news and notes heading into the big weekend. This is probably weekend number uno for drafts, home leagues especially, and then the following weekend, which is always usually Labor Day weekend. That's a really big weekend. I'm doing one of my drafts this weekend. Big party. Can't wait. So I thought I'd throw the show out here just for some late news that I found out and a few footnotes on draft stock up or down, that kind of thing. So we're going to do some draft strategy for your PPR leagues with more of a feature on the home league because I love home leagues. I wish I played in more of them, but aside from DraftKings, that's my one other love. So treating this video like we're playing in a 10, 12, maybe even 16-man home league, snake draft, not ranked in order of any preference of mine. These are just general guys, and I'll let you know stock up or down. And if I think what rounds they might be best in, things like that. First, we're going to start with news and notes. Be sure to stick around because I am going to cover some of those people people you don't know kind of things. So make sure you stay tuned. News and notes. First off, huge news. My Cowboys lost Tyron Smith to a knee injury. It was like a knee fracture with a torn hamstring off the bone. Horrible. He's going to miss almost all that. They talked about after surgery, maybe being back in December. But a big offensive lineman dude like that. He's 30 years old. He's already had injuries in the past. I've already written him off. I don't see how he'll be back. I don't see how he'll be that effective. But as far as fantasy concerned, that's Dak's dude. He guards his blind side. I have seen Dak in the past struggle passing. If now he's going in with his eyes wide open now, so he knows what to do. So he'll probably be a little better off from the beginning. But I've seen games where they've lost Tyron for a game or two, and teams that didn't have a real great pass rush all of a sudden had a great pass rush, and he was running for his life. So he gets a little skittish. But I don't downgrade Dak that much, but I do downgrade the run game some, and it's not good news for the offense all the way around. They did draft a rookie they will probably try to slot in there. He was going to be like the heir apparent, and he was going to move over to like guard or something, and work his way up. But now he's foot to the fire. So that's another concerning thing. Also, Cowboys news, wide receiver Michael Gallup is still trying to get back from the knee injury. It looks like he's going to start the season on the roster rather than the PUP list, which is good news. But I think it'll take him a few games to get going. Another minor downturn, wide receiver James Washington, who they acquired in the offseason, is probably going to miss 6 to 10 weeks after suffering one of those Jones fractures in his foot. If you remember those, they just became popular the last year or two, and they're very painful. So he's out for a while. So that's Cowboys passing game. I kind of give a bump to Dalton Schultz in the tight end department with Gallup kind of middling his way back and no James Washington. And now Dak won't have the blind side blocking, so he may need to be looking to get rid of the ball a little faster. So Dalton Schultz, bump it up. And moving over, Ravens running back Gus Edwards is going to start the season on the reserve pup list. That means he's out 4 games, which gives most of all the work to J.K. Dobbins, who we'll talk about in a minute. Patriots rookie wide receiver Tyquan Thornton, who was they were expecting some things from, going to miss probably 8 weeks due to a collarbone. Also, Giants wide receiver Sterling Shepard activated off the pup list, which probably hurts Wan'Dale Robinson's stock some, because if obviously they're going to slot him, Sterling Shepard, in as the starter, but that's going to be yet to be determined. And also, Bucks wide receiver Chris Godwin is seems to be making strides, practicing with the team now, 11-on-11 drills with the non-contact jersey. I still think, being 8-9 months since that he tore the ACL and the MCL, it was a pretty major knee injury. And I think it's going to take him a few weeks to get his confidence back in that knee. So he's going to be slow rolling, I believe. I think he'll start the season, but I'm not drafting him in the late 4th or 5th rounds where he seems to be going ADP. I would probably go 6th round on him, because you still have Mike Evans. You still have a couple of tight ends. You still have playoff Lenny. Tom Brady, he doesn't play favorites. He throws the ball to the open receiver most of the time. So Godwin could be okay, but I couldn't pull the trigger that early on him. I think that after weeks maybe 4 or 5, you're going to start seeing Godwin contribute a lot more. Another guy, actually, Robert Woods, on the other hand, looks good in practice. Now, he only just had the ACL injury, and it was week 10, not week 15. So he's had more time since the injury, and it was not as severe as Godwin's. I think he'd make a nice wide receiver 4 in the late rounds, and I think stable floor. He's kind of reminds me a little bit of Godwin. They kind of run that, they don't both run the slot, but he's just kind of one of those short intermediate possession type receivers. So that's the injuries, and I'm sure there's going to be more, but that's all I got for now that really meant something to me. So we're going to get into a little bit of draft strategy now. First thing you need to have in mind is who you would take first in the position that you're in. So, for example, you're in a 10-man league. I break that into 2 tiers, picks 1 through 5 and 6 through 10. So you're going to want to say, okay, I'm going to get in tier 1. I'm going to have the 3rd, 4th, 5th pick. Who am I going to take? I'm the 6th, 7th, 8th pick. Who am I going to take? Have that in mind going in. That way you're not shocked, unless, you do that pre-draw shit where your draft position the day beforehand or whatever. We do ours kind of like the old school derby pill pool, where the winner of the league draws the first name. That guy gets to pick which draft position he wants to be in. And then whoever gets drawn first draws the next one, so on and so forth, on down. So we got guys picking 6th, 7th, 4th, 2nd, and then 1st, or some dudes like 12th, and because they want that back-to-back wheel around. So it's a fun way to do it. And we always draw names and go, look at you. And so it's a blast. 12-man league is what I'm in. I break that into 3 tiers, 1 through 4, 5 through 8, 9 through 12. You're going to want to know what tiers. 16-man, make it 4 tiers. It's 4 picks, 1 through 4. Have an idea on who you're going to take in each range. So, for example, 12-man, tier 1, I'm going running back. Tier 2, running back or wide receiver. And that's the same for tier 3. But if I'm in tier 1, the picks 1 through 4, unless it's Cooper Kupp, I'm taking a running back. And that would be only if I'm the 4th pick, because I would take Taylor, I would take Najee, I would probably take Derrick Henry, and I already bunked out on CMC, so I can't default on that loan. Uh, but anyway, you know where I'm standing on that. And so if you get a later pick like 10th or worse, I'm willing to go wide receiver one, then grab your running back second. I'd say you could roll that way in a tier 3 of your draft. I still think you can wait on tight end. So round 3, I usually look for the best available between the running back or wide receiver category. But if by some miracle Kyle Pitts is there in the 3rd round, or even Kelsey, you might pull the trigger on one of those Mark Andrews types. So and then once you hit round 4, you can start thinking about some other things. Maybe a Josh Allen at quarterback. Depends on what your league scoring is. If they favor quarterbacks, then I would seriously consider one of the top tier guys in the 4th or 5th round. So we're going to get into a few last minute players, stock up, stock down, to close things out. So these are some guys you already know, and they may be going overlooked. They may be dropping a little bit. They may be rising, and I don't think they should be. So let's get started. First off, stock up, Cordell Patterson. This guy may, if he falls to the 6th round or 7th round, nice RB2. He broke out last year. Everybody knows what he did. Catches passes, runs good routes, can carry the ball at the goal line, sniffs out the end zone. So he's going to be on the field for 3 downs regardless. Even if they bring in a 3rd down back in the backfield, he's probably going to split out and take a slot role, because if they go 4 wide or whatever, or he's going to be a hybrid two-man running back field. So I think he's safe for playing time, and he can run the slot or the wheel route out of the backfield. So I thought in the beginning that he might lose some reps to Damian Williams, who they signed in the offseason, who I was kind of high on. But now I'm hearing Williams might not make the team. So keep an eye on that. Check his status. He's probably not going to get cut till next week. So if you got that Labor Day draft, see if he's still on the team. Because what I'm hearing is they have drafted Tyler Allgeier in the 5th round. Him and Patterson are locks to make the team at running back. Then they have a converted defensive back, Avery Williams, who converted from DB last year. And the reason he might get there is because he has that kick returner ability for special teams. So I don't know that they go 4 deep at running back. It's going to be kind of tough. So he may get cut. Keep an eye on that. Next up, Antonio Gibson, stock down. There were already some red flags. I don't like Washington's makeup this year. I still think Carson Wentz sucks. But I never take into account things that happen in the preseason. Just because he lost some work to Brian Robinson, and there was rumblings and of the fumble issues he had in the past. He's had way too many fumbles for the amount of carries he's had. So that's one thing that will put a running back on the shelf. If you're turning the ball over once every 20 carries or some shit, that's no bueno. Now, he's a question mark for the 5th round, obviously. I like the talent, and I think he'd be a fine flex play, but I'm going to let somebody else take him. He's coming off the field for J.D. McKissick, and Brian Robinson Jr. is making strides in his favor. So I'm out. I'd rather roll the dice on Dameon Pierce or somebody like that. Speaking of Dameon Pierce, stock up. He's earned enough support from the coaches that he didn't even need to suit up for week 2 of the preseason. So I really like him. I think he's good to go in maybe the 8th round, 7th round. If he's going to get that much steam to go any sooner than that, I'll pass. But I like him as a flex running back. I think he's got some talent. He's going to be good out of the backfield for Davis Mills. I think he'll catch he could catch 3, 4 balls, probably get 3 to 5 targets a game. So I like that. Next guy I want to talk about, stock up, DK Metcalf. I really didn't, I was like, man, Drew Lock, whatever, or Geno Smith, whatever. I don't like a wide receiver that has a shitty quarterback. But DK Metcalf is such a stud. If he had a better quarterback, he'd be a round 2 pick all day. I don't care if it's Lock or Smith at quarterback. I think DK will be heavily targeted. He's got double-digit TD upside no matter what. I think he might push 100 catches if he gets the amount of target share that I think he will. And he's a monster in yards after the catch. He can break loose and go. So he could shatter 1,000 if he's healthy. And their division they're in is obviously a high-powered division with the Rams and the Niners and the Cardinals. So they're going to be doing a lot of chasing. So if you could get DK in the 4th round, late round 4, I'm cool with that. Next guy is stock up. Brandon Cooks, obviously. I think he'll go somewhat overlooked because he's on Houston's team, and he just does what he does. He wasn't really shout out to what he did last year, but the dude will have monster targets. If you can get him in the late 4th, I like 140 targets, 100 receptions, and with a little TD luck, he's going to be like probably a top 15 wide receiver on the season. So I like that. Next guy, stock down, and this is probably no surprise, Amari Cooper, because we got word on Deshaun Watson's suspension, a whopping 11 games. I'm not waiting that long to see that pair in action. So maybe if he's on the waiver wire, somebody gave up on him and he's out there, I might scoop him then. But if you look up mediocre in the dictionary, there's a picture of Jacoby Brissett. That is about the most mundane, mediocre quarterback that plays in the NFL. And Amari is a dude that I think he does his best work indoors on fast tracks in warmer weather. Cleveland in that northern division, I'm out. So let somebody else take him. Another dude I'm kind of even on, not plus or minus, but I wanted to mention anyway, Mike Williams from the Chargers. He should once again garner a huge target share, has that TD upside. They're going to be throwing a lot. Herbert's a year better, and Keenan Allen's a year older. Let's just get that out there. And so he was, I think people count on him. I'm not taking him in the 3rd round because people might count on him too much. He was outscored last year by guys like Hunter Renfrow, James Conner, and Deontay Johnson, who I think you could get in the 4th or 5th rounds. So I'm not taking this dude in the 3rd round. No way, no day. But if he dips, I will have, if I've got my first 2 running backs, he dips into the 4th round, and he's, I don't want him to be my wide receiver 1. Let's put it that way. But he'd make a great wide receiver 2, especially if you've already got 2 RBs on your ticket. So anyway, on to the next guy. Leonard Fournette, playoff Lenny. Stock up always. I still see him going mid to late 2nd round. He's a borderline 1st round pick to me. I still think he gets the targets. I still think he gets carries. He's got TD upside. He may not break off 4 in a game like he did against Indy last year, but he is going to get cracks on the goal line. And Tampa Bay is going to move the football at will. Tom Brady is still Tom Brady. He still gets rid of the ball quicker than anybody in the league. They got a solid offensive line, so he's got plenty of blocking. He's got plenty of, Godwin's going to be back, however good he is. Evans, I believe, still going to be there. They got Russell Gage, who's another pass-catching guy. They've got a couple of tight ends, Brait and Rudolph. There's multiple people for Brady to throw at. And I think it's likely for him to be a stud RB. Again, I can get Lenny in the 2nd. I'll take him all day. He would be my 2nd RB. And God forbid if I get one of those top 4 picks and I get a Najee Harris and then Lenny's still there coming back down to me. all day. And he's only 27 years old, and he's only had 2 seasons north of 200 carries. So it's not like if there's wear and tear there. The guy came in a little bit overweight, but dudes do that. 240-pound running backs do that. Okay. I mean, Le'Veon Bell, all these guys that are over 2.25 to 230 always come in about 10 pounds, 20 pounds heavy, and then they work it off in camp. That's the way it works. Now, Patrick Mahomes stock up. Sounds weird, I know. He's probably the fourth quarterback going off the board, but he lost the top 10 overall fantasy producer in Tyreek Hill. So, plus Kelsey's a year older. We don't know about Juju just yet, but I still think he will be a stable wide receiver, but he's far from a lock. And then the other guys they have, like Hardman, are still up in the air. And of course, you've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's not 100%, not the greatest, but Mahomes is just getting her done. He's just that good. He is going to find a way to get to 35 touchdown passes. And he might even, since Tyreek's gone, and this is stock up tip, goal lines, that little pop pass I talked about, Tyreek used to always get, those little end arounds. Now that Isaiah Pacheco might get those, but he's still a rookie. And I think that a tuck and go from Mahomes, I think he only had like 2 rushing touchdowns last year. I look at 5. So that bumps him. He might have 40 total touchdowns this year. And that's jackpot. So I put him directly behind Allen as a QB2 over Herbert. Kind of crazy, right? All right, next guy up. Literally, stock up. Romeo Doubs. The rookie impresses in practice, and it's hard to get, I already said, it's hard to get that trust circle from Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is older. I think this team dynamic is different. And I think with Devontae Adams gone, he is just going to have to go hit the beach and do some mushrooms and figure it out and say, I need to start trusting these guys. So I think it will still take a time, but he may not have the choice. Because, I mean, seriously, Sammy Watkins, is anybody drafting Sammy Watkins? And he's like supposed to be him and Lazard on that team with Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball. I mean, somebody's got to step up here. So I'm going to treat Doubs as probably a keep an eye on guy in free agency, unless he's there, for a very late round flyer, the 16-man league type thing. So that's where I'm at there. Christian Kirk up. I think he's probably the most talented wide receiver on the Jags team. People think that he's downgraded at quarterback, but we don't know what Trevor Lawrence is yet. He was supposed to be the end-all, be-all. He can still throw it, and maybe they'll actually let him do that this year. He was so bad last year. I didn't understand how bad he was, but I blame part of that on Urban Meyer. So you got Marvin Jones past his prime. So I think if you think that Christian Kirk is going to be featured heavily in this offense, then you might have yourself a dime in right around 9. See what I did there? All right, next guy, Chris Olave. You know how I feel about rookies. I don't like them. I do think this kid has some talent and a pretty wide open path to a nice target share. He fits the mold that Jameis Winston likes to throw to. He's speedy. He's got good size. I think he's got pretty good hands. And I like having a guy like Jarvis Landry on the team, a good old-fashioned, grinded-out veteran that could teach this kid how to play wide receiver in the NFL. If Jarvis Landry's that type of guy, he just kind of strikes me as that kind of guy, like he's just a team player. So hopefully that'll help him. Maybe we see a wide receiver 4 in round 12. Would mind that too much. All right, last guy I wanted to mention real quick, J.K. Dobbins from Baltimore. I'm down because people are raising him up. I'm right where he was, RB30. I don't like him down in the early 20s. I don't think he should be moved up rounds. People are moving him up because they saw him at practice running and cutting. He's coming off a pretty serious ACL injury. It takes running backs almost a year off of that stuff to come through. So I'm probably not even going to draft him at all. I don't even care if he's there in round 8 because in his 2020 year, he was super impressive rookie. He had just 200-yard games, right? He did get 9 touchdowns, which I think was probably over his skis a little bit, but he only had 18 receptions. So he ain't cracking 30 receptions this year. He might get to 1,000 yards, but that's a flex at best. So I'm not going that route. All right. Well, that's all I'm going to have for today. I'll probably run some stuff next week because, we got another big week for people to prep for drafts. We got best ball flying off the charts. And good luck, everybody that's drafting this weekend. Shout out, give us a subscribe to the Billy Ho channel. Appreciate the help. Good luck to everybody in the Discord and PGA this weekend. And hopefully we all win some money there. And until the next video, see ya.